On today's PMEA's Take Note podcast, we are talking to someone affectionately known as the Girl Conductor. Who is she? What does that mean? And what does that mean for PMEA? On today's PMEA's Take Note podcast. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. I'm Mark Despotakis. Thanks for being here with us. Today, we're delighted to be joined by a woman who's going to be one of the guest speakers at this year's PMEA conference coming up really soon. She was part of our Crescendo Student Conference a while ago. She's going to be part of the PMEA Summer Conference this year. So, you're going to find her everywhere, and that's awesome, and we're glad to have her. Let me bring in Maria Ellis. Maria, thanks for joining us.
Hello, how are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I am quite well.
Well, as I said, you're kind of taking PMEA over for 2023, which is cool. We're delighted about that.
I'm excited to be in Pennsylvania and in the Poconos. I've never been there before.
So. Oh, awesome. Fantastic. All right. Well, we've ordered good weather. So we're gonna do our best.
I'm hoping for that because I got to keep my hair intact. So that's
fair enough. All right, yeah, we'll put the second request in and just to see what we can do. So okay, let's level set. Let's start by tell us a little bit about who you are, especially in the music ed world.
Sure. Well, I am Maria A. Ellis. I have a brand called Girl Conductor that celebrates women on the podium, but also celebrates diversity in music and music education. I've been singing and been a part of music for as long as I can remember. I've been a choir director since I was about 12 years old. I've just found that I've had a love for music. Back in 2013, I decided to change careers after a career at AT&T and wanted to study music because I was being put in charge of a children's choir at my church. And so I started at the University of Missouri, St. Louis. That's where I got my undergraduate degree. Leaving after graduating, I went to work for the St. Louis Children's Choir, where I was the community engagement manager, and then left and started a company called Girl Conductor, like I told you about before, that was really focused on diversity. So I started creating like products that showcase diversity in like posters and materials. I use a lot of popular music to educate. I try to find ways to teach through that. And I also host the award-winning radio show Bach and Beyonce for Classic 107.3, the voice for the arts in St. Louis. I also host my new radio show called American Gospel with Maria A. Ellis on that same station. And I find myself traveling around the country doing professional development sessions, clinics, workshops, and of course, conducting. So that's me in a nutshell.
Well, and we're going to talk about what you're going to be doing at the PMEA conference here in a bit. But I want to pick up on one thing that you said in there. You kind of glossed over it, but I want to go back over this. You started conducting at 12?
Yes. So at our church, we had a children's or young people's choir. And my sister and I noticed very, very early that we could hear parts. So we would call the radio station, and I'm going to date myself. We would call the radio station and ask them to play songs so that we could record them. And I didn't know it was illegal back then. I know it's illegal now. But we would record these songs, and then we would sit up at night and learn all the parts. And so when we got to church and it was time for choir rehearsal, we would teach all the parts to the song. And I just always had a love for the choir and hearing the choir and being able to control and manipulate the sound of the choir. And so when I was about 12, they let me start directing the choir, and I haven't stopped since I started.
I love that. That's so cool. And by the way, you did date yourself by saying you recorded things off of the radio. And that's right. I'm dating myself because I understand you because I did it too. So
I'm an 80s baby. I can't.
uh, okay, so let's talk a little bit about kind of this 30,000 foot level of music education. So you see music education in a variety of ways, a variety of genres, I'm sure. What is kind of your take? Let's pretend you're addressing the Congress of Music Education, right? Like, what is your take on the state of music education right now?
Well, it's changing. Pre-pandemic, I would say that most of us music educators, we really focused on the Western European classical music. Like everything was taught through the lenses of Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, those type of people. And I can recall when I was in undergrad, feeling lost because I didn't come from that world. I didn't come from the world of Bach. That was never played in my house. My music that was played in my house was gospel because I'm the daughter of two ministers. So they didn't allow us to listen to music outside of the gospel genre, except for Michael Jackson. He was always legal in our house. You got away with that. But when I went back to school, I felt like I had no connection to music because I didn't speak that language. And so it didn't dawn on me till I got to theory 3 that I was that I didn't need to speak a whole new language. I just had to translate music into the language that I spoke, which was gospel music. Now, fast forward that to 2020, to 2020 during the pandemic, I think things started to change. And people were saying, okay, well, there's other ways that we can educate. And so I've seen music kind of trending slowly, very slowly, but it's trending so that we're finding ways to think outside the box to make sure that everybody feels included in music education. So overall, it's shifting slowly, but I do see that there's a change in it. I see that teachers are being more creative. Teachers are using popular music more. They're using TikTok. They're using, whatever comes to their mind. They're using it to help teach. I have the privilege of teaching an amazing group of kids in St. Louis called the Sheldon's All Star Chorus, and this is a community high school chorus. And they have all different levels of music, all different backgrounds. Some of them come from schools that have amazing programs. Some of them come from schools that don't have music programs at all. So I got all kind of levels. So I try to find ways to teach at their level. And so what I do is I'll take a hip hop beat or a gospel song, or I'll take, like, even last week I was taking Disney songs and teaching them as warm ups, but reimagining them, arrange them differently so they sound a little more modern, but just using whatever music I can find to teach. That's what I've been doing. So that's where I see music education going. We're kind of changing how we teach this thing.
Yeah, so let me pick up on one of the things you said there about this slow change. And what's your take on that? Is that a better thing than, like, okay, it's a quick change and we're all going to jump into it, because then is that a fad? Like, and is that a quick thing? Is the slow change better? Okay.
In a way it could be, but in another way it's like, come on, let's go. And
Yeah.
I say that because I feel, now this is Maria Antoinette's opinion. So like nobody get mad at me for saying this, but I feel we spend so much time in Europe teaching. We never teach American music. And there's so much music in America that we could be teaching it. I remember my music history book not including jazz or
Mhm.
gospel or hip hop or, just the native music of our country. And I would love it if we took more time teaching that music. You could teach the same things. You still could teach parallel fifths teaching American music. You know what I mean? We don't have to go to Bachman to learn how to do that. And so I like that it's slow-ish, but I think it can move faster. Like right now, I feel like we're moving like at a snail's pace. We could kind of take the turtle pace if we want to go slow. We can go a little bit faster than a snail.
Okay. All right. I love that. Okay. Yeah. But I think the key point is, like, we got to keep doing it though. Right.
Yeah,
Let's make sure we continue, but speed it up. I'm
yeah,
okay with that.
100%. You have to keep going. But if we don't, this next generation of students that's coming through the classrooms now, it's a different breed of kids. And they're not gonna stay there with you. They're gonna say, no, I don't want to do that because I'm on TikTok and such and such is doing. Okay, let's take Jacob Collier. Jacob Collier is doing phenomenal stuff, right? But he's not going like Bach. But you can take what he's doing and translate that back to classical music, back to hip hop, back to gospel, back to country, back to rock, whatever genre. But he's trending right now. He's popular right now. Why would you not look at what he's doing and teach chord structure from that? That's all he's doing. He's teaching chord structure. Chord structure, I can talk. He's teaching chord structure, but doing it in a really, really cool way.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm with you. And it's folks that just gotta, yeah. I mean, education is constantly changing, and that's just the norm of it. And folks have got to keep up with it and keep changing with it.
I mean, that's just like if you think about math. My kids do not do math like I was taught math. Math has evolved. 1 + 1 is still 2, but it's still evolving. And so music and how we teach can still evolve. That's not saying we don't need to teach the basics. I'm 1000% for the basics, but we can find different ways to teach it.
Yeah. So we're at this time of the year here, March, April, where, music educators are, maybe there's another time either not stressed, but this is a really high stress time, right? Concerts, musicals, festival, all this stuff. So, busiest time of the year for them, likely. Do you have any words of wisdom to keep them energized and excited about what they're doing every day?
Yes, 1000%. I would say to music educators, number one, breathe. Just take a breath, start off. And number two, if you've prepared your kids, like you have nothing to worry about. I don't think any student is coming to choir class or band or orchestra or whatever class they're coming to. They're not coming with the hopes of failing. Like they really are coming, especially because we know contests and musicals and stuff are coming up. They're coming with that energy of, look, this may be rough, but I really want to get it right. So I say keep encouraging your students, keep encouraging yourself, breathe, and then just trust your process. Trust what you've been teaching all of this year or this school year. Trust that. And then when you feel like you can do no more, call backup. Have somebody come in and clinic the band, the choir, the orchestra.
Yeah.
Have another set of ears come in. Find a way to involve somebody else to make it more interesting. Ask the teachers in your school. Like I'm a choir person, so sorry, band and orchestra people, but you can do this as well. Ask the teachers, your staff, ask them, do any of them sing? Do any of them play an instrument? Hey, we need a 10-minute brain break just to get us out of this mode of concert prep, blah, 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 blah. Can you come in and sing for us? Can you come in and play for us? Can you come in and tell us about your favorite musician, your favorite artist? And just get those little segments where you can take your mind off of the contest stuff, breathe for a second, have somebody else come in, and then go on about your day. When I go out, and I have the privilege of the privilege and the honor to go and clinic a lot of groups, I always take time to tell the teacher or tell the students rather, I'm not coming in to change anything your teacher has already told you. I'm just coming in like your favorite auntie. When your favorite auntie comes over to the house, she can tell you the same exact thing your mama told you. Your mom can say, clean the room, and you can say, okay, I'm gonna clean it. But when your auntie come over and she say, now, Maria, why haven't you cleaned this room up? You like, yes, auntie, let me go ahead and clean it. She didn't tell you anything different. It was just a new voice that came in the house and asked you to do the same thing. So bring in a new voice and have them come in clinic or workshop your group. And just have fun. Just have fun.
That's so funny, Sarah, because as you're saying this, I teach marching band, and it's one of the things that we do in that space is like you bring somebody in and they say the exact same thing that the entire staff has been saying for 3 months, and now it clicks, right?
Yeah.
And so, but there's a lesson there, right? Like it is totally worth bringing in someone to help refresh you as the educator, but then help solidify that message that you have been, beating every single day. And somebody walks in and just says it, and then look, it fixes the problem, right? I love that.
And the kids are like, oh, we've never heard this before. But I'm in the background with my kids, especially. I'm in the background like, I just told y'all this last week. Like this, you know what I mean? So, but sometimes it just takes another voice just to come in. And now, because of technology, like you can bring in anybody from over the country, over the world. You know what I mean? So your I'm gonna date myself again. Your yellow page book of people or your white pages book of people has now expanded tremendously because you can Zoom or Skype or even streamline anybody into your classroom to be a part of what you all are doing.
Yeah, yeah, that it's again, take advantage of what's out there. So, okay, in that sense, we're talking about bringing people into a program. The goal is to make your students and your program better. Sometimes there is I feel this desire to always want to be the best and always be number one, and we're in festival season and always getting the highest rating, and marching band season always beating, like the marching band I teach can be phenomenal, but it's never going to be
Mhm.
grand nationals, right? It's just like, and most bands are not, because that's a whole different world. But there are people who stress themselves out so much to want to get to that point.
Mm.
And so I'm curious for, your take on that. Have you seen that? And is there a way for music educators to serve both goals of, we want to be really good, but also we have to keep in check and live in kind of in reality here?
Well, with the pandemic, all of our programs was basically restarting. And I heard Dr. Jeffrey Murdoch say, he was talking about choir. He said, teach the choir that you have, not the one that you wish you had. So I think what we should be doing is day one start recording our bands, choirs, orchestras, and then showing them the process and showing them how much they've improved from day one to where we are at contest. And if at contest you get the one, yay. But if not, celebrate the progress that you've made. And I think sometimes we have to take time to do that, to just celebrate whatever progress there is. We have to celebrate that. My choir last year was half the size of my choir this year. And that was heartbreaking to me. Now, again, the pandemic played a big part of that, but it was heartbreaking to me. It was heartbreaking that I couldn't do the same material that I had programmed for them. I was really excited with all this SATB music SATB music that I thought we were going to get ready to do, but I didn't have the voices for that. So I said, okay, Maria, you can, number one, frustrate yourself every week, or number two, you can choose some different rep that they are going to be 100% successful with, and then they'll feel good. And if they feeling good, you'll feel good. So that's what I did. We did some middle school rep because that was the voices that I needed to work with last year. And those singers were phenomenal at that. And now they've grown, and this year the choir has grown. So now we can do some harder rep. But I mean, I could have been miserable as a teacher because I could have said, well, my program is not like Bye's program, and their program is still booming. No, this is my program. This is what it is. And I have to be willing to accept it for what it is and to celebrate it and make it the best that it can be. That's all I can do.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you saying the like that process, right? So you think through the process of, what do I have? What can I give them? And then we grow from there. That's what everyone should be doing. I love it.
Everyone should be growing. And like I said, you got to remember, we went through 2 years
Right.
of not really singing or playing. So take that into consideration as well. 2 years dormant. So we just now really, kind of getting out of that. But don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing if you're still making it right now at the end of March, heading into April, you're doing great. Because number one, teacher, you didn't quit. You kept going. So celebrate that.
Yeah,
And teacher, the end of the year is coming. So we got a break coming up. So
right.
celebrate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So, but before the end of the year here in a couple of weeks, we have the PMEA conference
Yes,
for
we
our
do.
Pennsylvania folks. And as I mentioned, you'll be here with us. So, what can folks look forward to seeing from you here in a few short weeks? It's almost a few short days at this point.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to be the keynote speaker. And I'll be speaking on music is the answer. And I'll be talking about my musical journey and some journeys of some of my other friends and some of my students, and how music really has saved us. But it's not your typical, music has saved me story. It's just really that process to let teachers know, let educators know rather, that what we do, it really, really does matter. Even if you don't see it day by day, what we do matters, and what we do is really changing somebody's life. So you'll get that. And I think I'm presenting a few sessions. One session is about remixing and rebuilding our programs, I believe. And then there's another section about, I think I'm doing a session called Can You Lie Like a Lobster? And that session is going to be so fun. So looking forward to singing and dancing and bopping around and just having a good time. I'm the kind of person, I love, love, love having a good time. I love laughing. I love dancing. I'm very, if people have seen me conduct before, they'll tell you she's very energetic. I just have a lot of energy, and I'm just looking forward to having a great time with you all.
Well, I know that there are folks who are definitely looking forward to seeing you there, and I, can't quite see, but you're wearing your shirt that says "Girl Conductor," and so when you were part of Crescendo a month or two ago, I know that we had some music teachers go out and purchase that shirt. So I guarantee you're going to see some of those folks at the conference with their Girl Conductor shirts on. So
That makes me so happy. And again, this is really so. Can I talk about Girl Conductor, like
please,
where
yeah.
I came from? So when I was in high school, I was, again, like I said, I was directing at church. And I remember speaking with my teacher and saying, I want to do this like for a living. I want to direct choirs. Um, at that point, I didn't know that there were choral conductors and orchestral conductors. When I thought conductor, I always thought like symphony orchestra. And I always wanted to be one of the people standing on the podium with a stick because I didn't know the proper, I didn't know the terms at that time. So I was asking my teacher, how do I do this? And she didn't really know how to put me on that path. And maybe it could have been, maybe she didn't know what I was talking about, but she didn't know how to put me on that path. And so she said, well, you can be a music teacher in the classroom. And I was like, no, I don't think that's the right move for me. And so I kind of left disappointed that day because I was like, well, I'm not gonna be a music teacher. I thought people who studied music were people who were excellent singers. And I was like, I'm a good singer, but I'm not the best there ever was, so I didn't want to study singing because I didn't think I was that good at it. And so I felt defeated. And so I studied business, which is not what I wanted to do, but that's just, that's what I did. And so when I came back to study music, and I would look at all the conductors, I just always saw men. And I never saw women, and I 100% never saw Black women. And I was like, okay, well, I need girls coming from behind, coming after me. I need them to know that we women, we do this too. I need little Black girls to know that Black women, we do this. And so that was the start behind Girl Conductor, really was just to showcase that girls, women, that we're on the podium too. Now, some people say, well, I'm a woman. I don't need to showcase that I'm a girl who does it. I get that. I 100% understand that. But for me, it was important for me to showcase that because I didn't see my first Black woman conducting orchestra until 2020, which was Dr. Jan Taylor from Prairie View A&M in Texas. That was the first time I ever saw a Black woman conducting orchestra. And that was powerful for me. Like when her concert was over and I was telling her that, like, both of us were in tears. So I mean, it just meant something so deeply to see somebody who looks like me. So that's why I formed the company, is because I wanted to showcase girls who do this.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And I know that you, as I said before, you've impacted some folks in Pennsylvania already, and I guarantee that you will be impacting more when you join us in the Poconos. So, Maria, thank you for taking some time to talk to us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I'm going to go and put that order in again for good weather when you're in the Poconos.
Yes, do that, especially because the humidity. I don't want to mess up my hair.
I will do my best. All right. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for being with us.
No problem. Have a great day.
And thank you all for joining us on this edition of PMEA's Take Note podcast. And we want to thank our sponsor, the Grove City College Department of Music. And we'll see you next time.